All right, guys, let's get started with our Cold War continued test review video. Now, right out of the gate, I've got the test pulled up right here. The test is until Monday. So you have 5 days with this review video. You're still going to have chapter 26 key terms due Monday, the same day you're testing. You can do it. It's not that bad. You got 5 days with the review video. Please choose your procrastination ahead of time. Don't wait until Sunday night to watch this video and do your key terms. You got me? Like, use your time wisely. I'm going to go ahead and tell you that there are 30 key terms on the test. I'm using them all, every single one of them. Okay. If it was a definition from the book, it will be that exact same definition. The other ones I just pulled from Google, whatever came up. If you have any questions between now and Monday about the definitions, just please come and ask me, and I'll definitely help. The test starts with the Tonkin Gulf Revolution or resolution, excuse me. So I'm going in chronological order with Johnson's presidency. So you're going to be reading a statement from the actual Gulf of Tonkin resolution, like what it actually said from Congress. And you have to know it in a couple of ways. So reading of the documents is becoming more prevalent on your test. So I might just ask a question straight from the document, but understanding what the incident was, how Congress responded, and how Johnson used it, that's going to help you. And you have a question about, I actually am kind of skipping around. You have a Nixon question about his technique in Vietnam. Make sure you know that. You have a question on how Eisenhower, Johnson, and Kennedy thought of Southeast Asia. Eisenhower delivers a speech after the Geneva Accords that divides Vietnam at the 17th parallel. And he basically tells Geneva, he's like, y'all will rue the day. Like, don't be so naive that this is the end of North Vietnamese interaction with the South. And then he uses the CIA to funnel in $1 billion into South Vietnam. But his speech was associated with an idea. Okay. You have a question on the Tet Offensive. Know what it is. Know that it's like this major turning point, right? And how things go down, how the Americans like feel about it. If you rewatch the video that I put in the PowerPoint, that's going to help you tremendously. You have 2 Tet Offensive questions. You also have a question on the adequate sequencing of the War of Vietnam. So I want to know, like, between Johnson's presidency into Nixon and in Ford's presidency, which I'm going to cover on Thursday as well. I'm going to review Vietnam for you. I want to know what happens first, second, third, fourth, fifth. So I have like key terms associated with Vietnam, and I want you to know, like, well, what happens first, second, third, fourth, fifth. Okay. You have a key terming question about the War Powers Act of 73. It's super key term if you know the definition. By the way, if you do good on your vocab, you can use the definitions from the vocab to do really well on the test. So that's a great test taking strategy. I would use it. You have a question about Nixon's strategy to end the Vietnam War. Well, we already talked about Nixon's strategies. You have questions on his other successes in the Cold War. So you need to know what he's doing with the USSR, and you need to know what he's doing with China. You have a question on the Christmas bombings during Nixon's presidency. You have a question on withdrawal from Vietnam. I think we already talked about like the fall of Saigon kind of a thing. And we'll talk about that more on Thursday. We kind of touched on it today on Wednesday. We'll talk more on Thursday. Ooh, now I'm at Carter's presidency. So Ford's presidency is the fall of Saigon and how like the North Vietnamese defied the Paris Peace Accords because of the Watergate scandal. And now we're in Carter's presidency. So one of the big things with Carter is the Iranian hostage crisis. So make sure we know about that. We're going to watch a whole video on it on Thursday. So we're going to get really in depth with this. You have a question on how our relations with Iran are in 79 when Carter wins. You have a question on the Camp David Accords, which is also during Carter's presidency. So those are the 2 big things. And I actually have videos for both. The videos are great. If you can download this PowerPoint and watch those videos, yes, I'm going to use them in class, but you don't even need me, y'all. You can just watch those videos and get these test questions right. You really can. And now I'm kind of shifting into Reagan's presidency. You have questions about how he's interacting with Gorbachev, right? So we're going to talk about SDI, which is Strategic Defense Initiatives. You have a question on that? I believe it's a key term. Yes, it's a key term. So you have a test question on that. You have questions on the Iran-Contra, which we have a whole video on that. Again, the video is amazing. You can watch this video and get this one test question right. It's like easy peasy if you just watch the video. You have a question on glasnost and pistroka. Just make sure there, it's kind of key termy. Make sure you know the difference between those. Sometimes kids get them messed up. I have a question with a map, and I'm just reading it right now. It is in Central America, where you're going to see a lot of old school interaction from Eisenhower's presidency and the Banana Wars in Guatemala, which we kind of talked about. The test question, though, is just showing American interaction. Like you have the Cuban Missile Crisis in Cuba, you have the Bay of Pigs invasion. We're going to have the Iran-Contra, which is going to involve Nicaragua during Reagan's presidency. So I have a map with all these dates and the years next, well, I'm sorry, and descriptions next to all these dates on how we're interacting with countries that we're worried that might fall to communist influence. Okay. All in Central America and in the Caribbean. And you have a question. You have questions associated with that map. The questions are mostly reading the map. If you read it, you'll do really, really well. Some of the questions are going back in history on how we've talked about Latin American countries, on whether or not we wanted to get involved, or whether or not we want foreign countries involved in Latin America, which, if you remember anything about my second favorite president, you'll do really well on those questions. And that's the test. Now, when you get the test, you're going to see 52 questions. You only have 22 multiple choice because you have 30 key terms on this test. Even if I made the key terms worth less points, these key terms are going to be a huge portion of your grade. So 2 things to take from that. Number 1, you're welcome, right? Because that's an easy way to do well. Number 2, prepare accordingly so you can take advantage of number 1. Okay. It's at the end of the school year. We're doing good. We're ahead of schedule. You guys are going to do amazing if you just keep being robots. Just keep working hard. Do what you always do, and you're going to be very successful. I'm not worried. At least I shouldn't be worried. Except for the test is on Monday. Key terms are due Friday. So prepare. You're going to do great.